She found him slumped against a forklift, his expensive suit soaked with something darker than rain. Blood pooled beneath him, mixing with the water. In his lap were 2 infant car seats, and inside them, 2 babies screamed with the kind of primal fear that babies should never have to feel. His head lifted as she approached, and she saw the gun. The rain came down in sheets that night, the kind of cold New York downpour that soaked through every layer and chilled you to the bone. Lena pulled her delivery jacket tighter as she checked her phone one last time. One more delivery. Just one more, and she could finally go home to her cramped studio apartment, peel off these wet clothes and collapse into bed. Her scooter sputtered as she followed the GPS down increasingly unfamiliar streets. The industrial district. She frowned at the address on her screen. Who orders takeout to a shipping yard at 11:30 at night? The GPS announced her arrival, but all Lena could see were abandoned warehouses and rusted shipping containers stacked like forgotten monuments. She killed the engine, and suddenly the only sounds were the rain hammering against metal and her own breathing. "This has to be wrong," she muttered, pulling out her phone to call the customer. No answer. She tried again. Nothing. She was about to leave when she heard it. A sound that didn't belong in this empty place. A baby crying. Then another one joined in, creating a chorus of infant distress that cut through the rain like a knife. Lena's feet moved before her brain could stop them. She followed the sound past a row of containers, her shoes splashing through puddles that reflected the single working streetlight. The crying grew louder, more desperate. Then she saw him. A man sat slumped against a forklift, his expensive suit torn and soaked with something darker than rain. Blood pooled beneath him, mixing with the water. In his lap were 2 infant car seats, and inside them, 2 babies screamed with the kind of primal fear that babies should never have to feel. His head lifted as she approached, and Lena froze. Even in his injured state, there was something predatory about the way he moved. His hand came up and she saw the gun. "Stop." His voice was rough, accented. Korean, she thought. The gun barrel caught the streetlight as it pointed directly at her chest. Lena raised her hands slowly, her medical training kicking in even as her heart hammered against her ribs. She could see the way his hand trembled, how his breathing came in shallow gasps. 2 entry wounds she noted automatically. One in his shoulder, one in his side. He was losing blood fast. "I'm not here to hurt you," she said, keeping her voice steady. "I'm a delivery driver. I heard the babies." His eyes, dark and sharp despite his condition, studied her face. The babies continued to scream. They were so small, probably only a few months old. Their cries were growing weaker, more desperate. On this cold, wet night they wouldn't last long. "You should run," he said, but the gun lowered slightly. "Anyone who finds me dies." "Then I guess we better make sure no one finds you." Lena took a step forward. "Those babies need help. You need help. And right now, I'm the only person here who can give it." He stared at her for a long moment, and she could see him calculating, weighing his options. Finally, he lowered the gun completely. "Don't come closer," he said, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper, "unless you know what you're doing." Just a moment before we continue, sweet listeners, please tell us where you are watching from in the comments. We love to know where our stories reach. Lena dropped to her knees beside him, her hands already moving to assess his injuries. "I was 2 years into nursing school before I had to drop out. I know enough." She stripped off her jacket and pressed it against his side wound. He hissed in pain but didn't pull away. Up close, she could see he was younger than she'd first thought. Maybe early 30s. Handsome in a severe way, with sharp cheekbones and a jaw that looked like it had been carved from stone. "The babies," he managed. "They need to be warm." Lena looked at the infants. They were soaked, shivering in their seats. One wore a pink onesie, the other blue. Both had stopped screaming and were now making weak, pitiful sounds that were somehow worse. "I need to get all of you out of here," she said. "My apartment is 15 minutes away. Can you move?" "I can move." He tried to stand and immediately swayed. Lena caught him, surprised by how heavy he was. All muscle under that expensive suit. "My scooter has a delivery trailer," she said. "It's not comfortable, but it will work." He was already reaching for the car seats, his movements careful despite his injuries. She noticed how gentle his bloody hands were with the babies, How he checked each one before he'd even consider moving himself. Getting him to the scooter was an ordeal. He leaned heavily on her, one arm draped over her shoulders, and she could feel every step cost him. The babies went in first, tucked as safely as she could manage in the trailer she usually used for pizza deliveries. Then he folded himself in, an impossible feat given his size and his wounds. "This is insane," Lena muttered as she climbed onto the scooter. "This is absolutely insane." "Yes," he agreed from behind her. "Thank you." The ride back was a nightmare of rain, blood, and crying babies. Lena drove faster than she ever had, taking turns that made her stomach flip, praying they wouldn't crash. She could feel him behind her, could sense when his grip on consciousness wavered. "Stay with me," she called over her shoulder. "We're almost there. What's your name?" "Ryusei." "I'm Lena. Those babies have names." "Mira," he said. "NJ. The girl is mine. The boy was my friend's. Before he died." Lena's throat tightened. She wanted to ask more, but they were pulling up to her apartment building. The ancient 4-story walk-up looked even more run down than usual in the rain, but right now it was sanctuary. Getting Ryusei up 3 flights of stairs while carrying 2 infant car seats was the kind of physical feat Lena would have said was impossible an hour ago. But somehow they managed, him leaning on the railing, her making multiple trips with the babies, both of them leaving a trail of water and blood on the worn carpet. Her studio apartment was exactly as she'd left it. Tiny. Cluttered. The futon served as both couch and bed, and her kitchen was barely more than a hot plate and a mini-fridge. But it was warm and it was safe, and right now that was everything. Ryusei collapsed onto the futon the moment he was through the door. Lena set the car seats on her small table and immediately went to work. First the babies. They needed to be dry and warm before anything else. She'd never changed an infant before. Had never even held one until tonight. But desperation made her competent. She stripped them out of their wet clothes, dried them with her least terrible towels, and wrapped them in her cleanest blankets. They were so small in her arms, so impossibly fragile. Mira had her father's dark hair and eyes. Jay had lighter features, more delicate. "Are they okay?" Ryusei's voice was weak but urgent. "They're warming up," Lena said. "But they need formula. Diapers. I don't have any of that." "My bag." He gestured weakly to the leather bag she'd grabbed from the shipping yard. Inside. Lena opened it and her breath caught. Stacks of cash. Multiple passports. 2 handguns. And underneath all of that, formula and diapers. This man had been prepared to care for these babies even while running for his life. "Who are you?" she asked quietly. "Someone who should have died tonight." He tried to sit up and failed. "You should not have saved me." "Yeah, well, I did." Lena prepared formula with shaking hands, following the instructions on the can. The babies latched onto the bottles with desperate hunger. "And now you're going to tell me what's going on so I can figure out how to keep us all alive." Before he could answer, footsteps echoed in the hallway outside. Heavy. Deliberate. Multiple people. Ryusei's hand went to his gun with speed that shouldn't have been possible for someone in his condition. He pressed a finger to his lips, his eyes sharp again, all traces of weakness gone from his expression. The footsteps stopped outside her door. Lena's heart hammered so hard she thought it might burst through her chest. She clutched Jay closer, watching as Ryusei moved silently to the side of the door, gun raised. His movements were fluid despite his injuries, trained. Military? No, something else. Something darker. A knock. Then a voice. "We know you're in there. Make this easy." The door handle started to turn. Lena had locked it, she knew she had, but the lock was turning anyway. Someone was picking it. Ryusei glanced at her and mouthed one word, "Bathroom." Lena didn't hesitate. She grabbed both car seats, the babies miraculously quiet now, as if they sensed the danger. She backed into the tiny bathroom and pulled the door almost closed, leaving just enough gap to see through. The apartment door swung open. A man stepped inside, gun drawn. He was huge, wearing all black, his face obscured by a hood. He moved like someone who'd done this before, sweeping the room with practiced efficiency. His gun found Ryusei a second before Ryusei's found him. They faced each other across the small room, and Lena held her breath. The boss wants you dead, the man said. His accent was similar to Ryusui's but heavier. Nothing personal. Everything is personal, Ryusui replied. Then he moved. Lena had never seen anyone move like that. One moment they were standing, the next Ryusui had closed the distance and the gun was falling from the intruder's hand. There was a flash of steel, a knife Lena hadn't seen him draw, and then it was over. The man crumpled without a sound. Ryusui caught him, lowered him carefully to prevent noise, then immediately checked the hallway. He pulled the body inside and closed the door, locking it again. Only then did he let himself sag against the wall, his hand pressed to his side wound. Fresh blood seeped between his fingers. Lena emerged from the bathroom on shaking legs. You just killed someone. In my apartment. You just. He would have killed us all. Ryusui's voice was matter-of-fact. And there will be more. They know I came this direction. They will search every building. Who are they? Who are you really? Lena set the babies down, her hands trembling. And don't give me some vague answer. I deserve the truth. Ryusui looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. Sit down. She did, perching on the edge of the futon, as far from the body as possible in the tiny space. I am the head of the Saikyo-kai, he said. The strongest organization in the Korean syndicate operating on the West Coast. Or I was, until someone inside decided they wanted my position enough to kill me for it. Lena's mouth went dry. You're your Mafia. Yakuza is Japanese. We are Korean. But yes, the principle is the same. He moved to the sink, ran water over his bloodied hands. Someone poisoned my inner circle against me. Someone close enough to know where I would be tonight, who I would be with. And the babies? His expression softened fractionally. Mira is my daughter. Her mother and I, it did not work between us. But I would die before I let harm come to her. He dried his hands carefully. Jay is the son of my closest friend. He died 3 months ago, protecting me from an earlier attempt on my life. I promised him I would raise his son as my own. So someone wants to kill you, and they're willing to kill babies to do it. Yes. Lena looked at the 2 infants sleeping peacefully in their car seats, oblivious to the violence surrounding them. We need to leave. If they know you came this way, we cannot run forever. Not with infants. Ryusui returned to the futon, moving carefully. I need to heal enough to fight back. To find out who betrayed me. And until then? Until then we survive. Lena stood and moved to her first aid kit. It was basic, meant for minor injuries, but it would have to do. Take off your shirt. He complied without argument, revealing a body covered in old scars and new wounds. Lena tried not to think about what each scar represented as she cleaned the gunshot wounds as best she could. The one in his shoulder had gone clean through. The one in his side was worse, the bullet still lodged inside. This needs a hospital, she said. Hospitals report gunshots. We would be dead in an hour. Then you need antibiotics at minimum. Something for the pain. I have both in my bag. Of course he did. Lena found them and administered what he needed. Her nursing training taking over despite her terror. When she was done, she had done everything she could with her limited supplies. You should sleep, Ryusui said. I will watch. You're barely conscious. And I can't sleep. Not with a body in my apartment. Lena wrapped her arms around herself. What do we do with him? I will handle it before dawn. Handle it how? You do not want to know. He was right. She didn't. Lena moved to the window and looked out at the rain-soaked street. Somewhere out there, more people were looking for them. Trained killers who wouldn't hesitate to murder a delivery girl who'd made the mistake of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Why did you have the babies with you? She asked suddenly. If you knew someone was trying to kill you, why bring them? Ryusui's face darkened. I did not bring them. I was taking them to a safe house somewhere my enemies could not find them. But they knew. They ambushed me before I could get them to safety. His hand clenched into a fist. The traitor is someone I trust. Someone who knows all my safe houses, all my protocols. Your ex-wife. No. Alara would never harm Mira. No matter how much she hates me. It is someone else. Someone in my inner circle. A soft cry interrupted them. Jay was stirring, his tiny face scrunching up. Lena went to him automatically, lifting him from his seat. He was so light, so warm against her chest. She rocked him gently and he settled, his small hand curling around her finger. When she looked up, Ryusei was watching them with an expression she couldn't quite read. "You are good with them," he said quietly. "I'm terrified. I've never taken care of babies before." "Neither have I." "Not really." He paused. "I have nannies. People who know what they are doing. I hold Mira, I play with her, but the daily care," he trailed off. "I am not a good father. You're here. You protected them when you could have run alone and saved yourself. That makes you a better father than a lot of people." Lena laid Jay back in his seat, checking on Mira. The little girl slept peacefully, one tiny fist pressed against her cheek. "We should feed them again soon. And change them." They worked together in silence, caring for the babies with the careful coordination of people who had no choice but to trust each other. Ryusei moved stiffly, pain evident in every gesture. But he was gentle with the infants. Patient. "Where are you watching from?" Lena asked suddenly, then blinked. "Sorry, I don't know why I said that. I'm so tired I'm not making sense. You have been through more tonight than most people experience in a lifetime," Ryusei said. "You should rest. I promise I will wake you if there is danger." "Can you promise that? Can you promise we're going to survive this?" He met her eyes. "No. But I promise I will do everything in my power to keep you and the children safe. You saved my life tonight when you should have run. That creates a debt I take very seriously." Lena wanted to argue, but exhaustion was winning. She curled up on the far end of the futon, as far from the body as possible, and closed her eyes. She didn't think she'd sleep, but somehow she did, falling into a dark, dreamless place where babies didn't cry and men didn't die on her apartment floor. She woke to the smell of coffee. For a moment she thought she'd dreamed it all. Then she saw Ryusei standing in her kitchen area, moving slowly but efficiently as he prepared formula for the babies. The body was gone. The floor was clean. If it weren't for the bloodstain on her futon and the 2 car seats on her table, she might have convinced herself it had been a nightmare. "You should have woken me," she said, sitting up. "You needed sleep. He brought her coffee. And I needed to think. Did you take care of?" "Yes. You do not need to worry about it." Lena sipped the coffee, not wanting to know more. Outside, dawn was breaking, gray light filtering through her dirty windows. A new day. They'd survived the night. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we feed the babies. And then we leave." "Leave? Where?" "I have a place. Temporary. But safer than here." He finished preparing the bottles and handed her one. "They will come back to search this building in the daylight. When they do, we need to be gone." Lena fed Mira while Ryusei took Jay. The babies ate hungrily, unaware of the danger surrounding them. Watching them, so innocent and perfect, Lena felt something shift in her chest. These children needed protection. They needed someone to fight for them. "I'm coming with you," she said. "You do not have to." "Yes, I do. You can barely stand. You need someone who can help with the babies, someone who has medical training. And besides," she gestured around her tiny apartment, "I don't have much to leave behind. No family in New York. No real friends. Just a job that pays minimum wage and an apartment I can barely afford. This life will be dangerous. And it wasn't dangerous before? My neighborhood isn't exactly safe. At least with you, I know what I'm dealing with." Ryusei studied her face, and she had the sense he was seeing more than she wanted him to. Finally, he nodded. "Then we move quickly. Bring only what you need." Lena packed in 10 minutes. Clothes, toiletries, her nursing textbooks, a few photos. Everything she owned fit in one backpack. The realization was more depressing than the danger they were in. They took her scooter again. But this time Ryusei insisted on driving despite his injuries. "I know where we are going," he said. "And if we are followed, I can lose them better than you." The ride took them out of the city, into the industrial areas near the waterfront. They stopped at a storage facility, rows and rows of orange doors stretching in every direction. Ryusei had a key for Unit 247. Inside was more than Lena had expected. A cot, supplies, cases of water and non-perishable food. You've used this place before, she said. Many times. It is one of my emergency locations. Not even my inner circle knows about it. He locked the door behind them. We will be safe here while I figure out who betrayed me. The next few hours passed in a strange domestic routine. They set up the car seats in the warmest corner, changed diapers, fed babies. Ryusui's phone buzzed constantly, but he ignored it until finally he powered it down completely. They will use it to track me, he explained. I have other ways to communicate. What about my phone? Already off the network. He showed her a small device. Signal jammer. We are invisible here. Jay started fussing around noon. His cries more distressed than hungry. Lena checked him, changed him, tried to feed him, but he refused the bottle. His tiny face scrunched up in discomfort, and he wouldn't stop crying. Something is wrong, Lena said, anxiety creeping into her voice. He shouldn't be this upset. Ryusui took the baby, his large hands cradling the infant with surprising gentleness. Jay continued to cry, his little body rigid with distress. When did we last feed him? Ryusui asked. 2 hours ago. Same formula we've been using. Lena grabbed the can. This is the one from your bag, right? Yes. Ryusui's expression darkened. He handed Jay to her and took the can, opening it carefully. He poured a small amount onto his finger and tasted it. His face went rigid. What? What is it? Stay back. He poured the formula into a bowl and examined it closely. Then he swore in Korean, a long string of words that needed no translation. This formula has been tampered with. Someone added something to it. Lena's stomach dropped. Poison. A mild sedative, I think. Enough to make the babies drowsy, easier to handle. But for an infant Jay's size, he trailed off, his jaw tight with rage. Oh God. I fed them that. I gave them poison. Lena felt her knees weaken. How much did they have? How much damage did I do? You did not know. Ryusui's hand was gentle on her shoulder. And the dose was not enough to kill them. Whoever tampered with it knew I would notice if they died immediately. This was meant to weaken them slowly. We need to make them throw up. We need to. It has been too long. It is already in their system. He looked at Jay, who was still crying weakly. We watch them. Keep them hydrated. The sedative will pass through their system in a day or two. And if it doesn't, then I will find a doctor I trust. His voice went cold. And then I will find who did this, and I will make them pay in ways they cannot imagine. Lena had never heard such controlled fury in someone's voice. She looked at this man who was apparently a mafia boss, who had killed someone in her apartment without hesitation, and she realized she wasn't afraid of him. She was grateful he was on their side. They spent the rest of the day monitoring the babies, forcing water into them drop by drop, watching for any sign of worsening symptoms. Mira seemed less affected, but Jay remained lethargic, his cries weak and infrequent. I need to call someone, Lena said as evening approached. My brother. He'll be worried when I don't check in. No calls. He's all I have. And he might be able to help. He works in tech, he could. No one can know where we are. He wouldn't tell anyone. Please. Lena pulled out her phone. Just one quick message. To let him know I'm okay. Ryusui considered this, then nodded slowly. Text only. No location. No details. Lena typed quickly, Kyle, I'm okay. Had to leave town for a few days. Don't worry. We'll explain when I can. Love you. His response came immediately. Lena, where the hell are you? I came by your apartment, the door was open, there was blood. I almost called the cops. She typed back. I'm safe. Please don't call anyone. I'll be home soon. Kyle, tell me where you are. I'm coming to get you. That is enough, Ryusui said. Turn it off now. Lena powered down the phone, her heart heavy. She could imagine Kyle's panic, his frustration. They'd always been close, especially after their parents died. He was the only family she had left. He will be fine, Ryusui said quietly. And you will see him again. I promise. But even as he said it, his phone buzzed. He turned it back on briefly to check something, and now his face went pale. What? Lena asked. They found your apartment. They know you helped me. He showed her a photo that had been sent to him, her building, her door, and a message. The girl dies next. Tell us where you are or we start with her family. Kyle, Lena whispered. They're going to go after Kyle. We need to warn him. I thought you said. That was before they made him a target. Ryusei was already typing. I have people who can protect him. People I trust. He made a call, speaking rapid Korean into the phone. When he hung up, he looked at her grimly. My men will be at your brother's apartment in 15 minutes. They will keep him safe. I need to call him. I need to tell him what's happening. If you call him, they might track it. They might use him to find us. I don't care. Lena grabbed her phone. He needs to know. Ryusei caught her wrist but gently. Then let me make the call. On a secure line. You can tell him what you need to, but we do it my way. She nodded, and he set up some kind of encrypted connection. The phone rang twice before Kyle answered. Lena? Jesus, Lena, what is going on? Kyle, listen to me. You're in danger. Some very bad people are looking for me, and they might come after you to get to me. What? What are you talking about? Are you in trouble? Yes. But I can't explain right now. There are going to be some men coming to your apartment. Don't be scared. They're there to protect you. Men? What men? Lena, you're freaking me out. I know. I'm sorry. But please just trust me. Stay with them. Don't go anywhere alone. And don't tell anyone where you are. Where are you? Let me come get you. Lena looked at Ryusei, who shook his head. I can't tell you that. But I promise I'm safe. I'm with someone who's protecting me. Who? Who are you with? I'll explain everything when this is over. I love you, Kyle. Please be careful. She hung up before he could argue more, tears streaming down her face. Ryusei handed her a tissue without comment. Your men better keep him safe, she said. They will. I trust them with my life. But even as he said it, his phone buzzed again. He answered, listened for a moment, and his expression went dark. What? Lena asked. What happened? My men reached your brother's apartment. He was not there. And there were signs of a struggle. The world tilted. Lena grabbed the edge of the cot to steady herself. No, they couldn't have gotten to him that fast. Unless they were already watching him. Waiting for him to lead them to us. Ryusei was already moving, gathering supplies. We need to leave. Now. We have to find him. We have to. We will. But first we need to survive the next few hours. If they have your brother, they will use him as bait. And we cannot help him if we are dead. Lena wanted to argue, but she knew he was right. She helped him pack up the babies, moving on autopilot. Mira and Jay were both sleeping now, the sedative from the poison formula finally wearing off. They looked so peaceful. So innocent. They loaded everything into Lena's scooter trailer again. The babies bundled against the cold. Ryusei drove this time, taking them through a maze of back streets and alleyways that Lena had never seen before. Where are we going? She asked. Another safe house. One that even I barely remember. My father set it up 20 years ago. He took a sharp turn. If there is anywhere they will not find us, it is there. But as they pulled onto a wider street, headlights flared behind them. Too bright. Too close. Ryusei swore and accelerated. Hold on, he said. This is going to get rough. The chase that followed was a blur of terror. Ryusei drove like he was born to it, taking turns that should have been impossible on a scooter, cutting through spaces no car could follow. But their pursuers were good too, and they had better vehicles. A black SUV pulled alongside them. The window rolled down and Lena saw the gun. Down! Ryusei shouted. She ducked, covering the baby's car seats with her body as shots rang out. The scooter swerved, and for a horrible moment Lena thought they were going to crash. But Ryusei kept control, somehow keeping them upright as he cut into a narrow alley. The SUV couldn't follow, but motorcycles could. Two bikes roared into the alley behind them, their riders dressed in black. Ryusei pushed the scooter to its limit, but it wasn't enough. They were gaining. Then Ryusei did something that stopped Lena's heart. He yanked the handlebars hard to the right and drove them through a gap between buildings that barely existed. Metal scraped against metal. The trailer hit the wall, and for a second Lena was sure they'd be stuck. but they burst through into a loading area, and Ryusei immediately killed the engine and the lights. He pulled the scooter behind a dumpster and held up a hand for silence. The motorcycles roared past, missing their hiding spot by feet. The sound of engines faded into the distance. They sat in the dark, breathing hard. The baby stirred but didn't cry. Lena's hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold on. "That was too close," she whispered. "Yes." Ryusei was checking his side wound. It had reopened, fresh blood seeping through his shirt. "We cannot keep running like this. Not with the babies." "Then what do? We make a stand. I call in my loyalists. We find out who the traitor is. And we end this. And Kyle. If they have him, they will keep him alive to use against us. We have time." He met her eyes. But not much. They waited 30 minutes before moving again, making sure their pursuers were gone. When they finally emerged from hiding, Ryusei drove them to a warehouse district Lena didn't recognize. He pulled up to a building that looked abandoned, its windows broken and walls covered in graffiti. "This is it?" she asked doubtfully. "This is it." Inside was nothing like the exterior suggested. Someone had clearly maintained this space, turning it into a livable if Spartan shelter. There was electricity, running water, even heat. The main room had been set up like a small apartment, with a makeshift kitchen and sleeping area. "My father was paranoid," Ryusei explained as he set up the babies. "He prepared for every contingency. He never trusted the organization completely. Smart man. He was. Until his paranoia was not enough." Ryusei's expression went distant. "They killed him 10 years ago. Made it look like a rival gang. But I always suspected someone inside was responsible. Someone who wanted his position. Someone like whoever is trying to kill you now. Perhaps the same person. Perhaps their successor." He checked his phone, scrolled through messages. "I need to make calls. Reach out to people I trust. Can you handle the babies for an hour?" "Yes. Go. Do what you need to do." Lena fed and changed Mira and Jay, grateful for the distraction. The babies were recovering from the drugged formula. More alert now, their cries stronger. She found herself talking to them as she worked, telling them stories about nothing, just needing to hear a human voice that wasn't discussing death and betrayal. Mira grabbed her finger and wouldn't let go, her dark eyes fixed on Lena's face. "You look like your dad," Lena told her softly. "You have his eyes. I bet you'll have his stubborn streak too." From the other room, she could hear Ryusei's voice, low and intense as he spoke Korean into his phone. She didn't understand the words, but she understood the tone. He was calling in his army. An hour passed. Then 2. Finally Ryusei emerged, looking exhausted but determined. "I have made contact with my most trusted people," he said. "They are coming here. By morning we will have enough force to strike back." "What about Kyle?" "They are searching for him." "But Lena," he hesitated. "You need to prepare yourself. If they took him, they did it for a reason. They will use him to draw us out." "I know that. And I know it's probably a trap. But he's my brother. I can't just leave him." "I would not ask you to. But we do this strategically. We do it smart. Or we all die, including him." Lena nodded, blinking back tears. "Okay. So what's the plan?" Before he could answer, his phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and his face went pale. "What?" Lena asked. He turned the phone to show her. It was a video. The quality was poor, but she could make out a figure tied to a chair in what looked like a warehouse. His face was bruised, bloody, but unmistakable. "Kyle." A voice spoke in the video, digitally distorted. "You have 24 hours. Bring us the syndicate codes, or your friend's sister watches him die." The video ended. Ryusei lowered the phone. "What syndicate codes?" Lena asked. "The access codes to our organization's accounts. Billions of dollars. Decades of accumulated power and influence." He set the phone down. "Whoever is behind this does not just want me dead. They want to take control of everything. Can you give them the codes?" "No. They are not mine alone to give. And even if they were, the moment they have them, they will kill your brother anyway. And us." He started pacing, his movements sharp despite his injury. "This is about power. About proving they can destroy me completely. Then what do? We give them what they want. Or we make them think we are. He stopped pacing, his eyes sharp. We set a trap of our own. Before Lena could ask what he meant, headlights flashed through the broken windows. Multiple vehicles. Ryusui's hand went to his gun, but then he relaxed fractionally. They are here. My people. The next hour was a blur of activity. Men and women filed into the warehouse, all of them moving with the same predatory grace as Ryusui. They spoke in rapid Korean, showing him phones and documents. Lena caught glimpses of weapons being distributed, maps being spread out on tables. One woman approached Lena where she sat with the babies. She was older, maybe 50, with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. I am Sun Hee, she said in accented English. I was Ryusui's father's head of security. Now I serve him. She looked at the babies. May I? Lena hesitated, then nodded. Sun Hee lifted Jay with practiced ease, checking him over with the efficiency of someone who knew what she was doing. The boy is recovering well from the sedative, she said. And the girl is strong like her father. She handed Jay back. You did well keeping them alive. Not many would have. I didn't really have a choice. There is always a choice. You chose to help. That matters. Sun Hee glanced at Ryusui, who was deep in discussion with 3 other men. He trusts you. That is rare. He barely knows me. He knows enough. You saved his children when you could have run. You stayed when anyone with sense would have fled. Sun Hee smiled slightly. That tells him everything he needs to know about your character. What's going to happen? Lena asked quietly. To my brother? Ryusui will not let him die. He takes his debt seriously. And he owes you a life debt now. Sun Hee stood. Try to rest. Tomorrow will be difficult. But rest was impossible. Lena watched the preparations, holding Mira while Jay slept. The baby was warm and solid in her arms, her tiny heart beating against Lena's chest. Such a small, perfect thing in the middle of all this violence. Ryusui finally broke away from his people and came to her. His face was drawn, exhausted, but there was steel in his eyes. We have a plan, he said. But it is dangerous. Everything about this is dangerous. This especially. He sat down carefully beside her. They want a meeting. A trade. The codes for your brother. We will give them the meeting. But we will have people in position. When they bring your brother out, we strike. What if they don't bring him out? What if it's just a trap to kill us all? It is definitely a trap. The question is whether we can spring it on them before they spring it on us. He looked at Mira sleeping in her arms. You and the babies will stay here with Sun Hee. She will protect you if anything goes wrong. No. Lena. No. Kyle is my brother. I'm coming. You will be in danger. I'm already in danger. At least this way I can help. She met his eyes. And Kyle will respond better if he sees me. He'll know it's really a rescue and not just another trick. Ryusui studied her face for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. You stay in the vehicle until we have secured the area. You do not move until I tell you. Understood. And if something goes wrong, if they break through our lines, you run. You take the babies and you run, and you do not look back. Ryusui. Promise me. His hand covered hers where it rested on Myra's back. These children need someone who will put them first. Someone who will choose their safety over revenge or heroics. Promise me you will be that person. Lena swallowed hard. I promise. The rest of the night passed in tense preparation. Sun Hee showed Lena how to hold a gun just in case. The weight of it in her hands felt wrong, but Sun Hee insisted. You do not have to use it, the older woman said. But you should know how, if it comes to that. They left before dawn. A convoy of 3 black SUVs moving through the empty streets. Lena sat in the middle vehicle with Ryusui and the babies. Armed guards surrounded them on all sides. The meeting is at a warehouse near the docks, Ryusui explained as they drove. Neutral territory, or so they claim. We will have snipers on the surrounding buildings. Teams positioned at every exit. If they try to escape with your brother, we will be ready. What if they kill him the moment you show up? They will not. They need to verify the codes first. That gives us time. He checked his gun, his movements automatic. But Lena, you need to prepare yourself. Your brother may be injured. He may be. I know. I'm prepared. But she wasn't. She wasn't prepared for any of this. A week ago, her biggest worry was making enough in tips to cover rent. Now she was heading into a Mafia showdown with 2 babies in the backseat and a gun in her jacket pocket. They reached the docks as the sun was starting to rise, painting the sky in shades of gray and pink. The warehouse Ryusei had mentioned loomed ahead, a massive concrete structure surrounded by shipping containers. We are early, Ryusei said. We set up first. We control the space. His people moved with military precision, fanning out to their positions. Lena watched through the tinted windows as they disappeared into the shadows, becoming invisible. Within 15 minutes, the area looked completely deserted except for their vehicle. They will arrive in 30 minutes, Ryusei said, checking his watch. We wait. Those 30 minutes felt like hours. Mira started fussing, and Lena fed her as quietly as possible, her hands shaking. Jay slept through it all, exhausted from their ordeal. You are afraid, Ryusei observed. Terrified. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. Keeps you alive. He was watching the warehouse entrance. But do not let it control you. When the moment comes, you act. No hesitation. Easy for you to say. No. It is never easy. I have been doing this for 15 years and every time I am afraid. The difference is that I have learned to use the fear instead of letting it use me. A car appeared in the distance, moving slowly toward them. Then another. 3 cars total, all black, all with tinted windows. They parked in a line facing Ryusei's vehicle, about 50 yards away. Here we go, Ryusei said quietly. He spoke into a radio in Korean, and Lena heard acknowledgments crackle back. Remember, you stay here until I signal. No matter what you see. He stepped out of the vehicle, moving with a confidence that belied his injuries. 2 of his men flanked him, and together they walked toward the other cars. The doors of the center vehicle opened. 2 men got out first, dragging a third figure between them. Even from a distance, Lena could see it was Kyle. He was barely conscious, his head lolling, his clothes torn and bloodied. She bit her lip to keep from crying out. Her hand went to the door handle, but Sunhee, who had slipped into the driver's seat, caught her wrist. Not yet, the older woman said firmly. Trust Ryusei. A 4th figure emerged from the car. Even from here, Lena could see this person was different. The way they moved, the way the guards deferred to them. This was the one in charge. Ryusei stopped 10 yards from them. Words were exchanged, too quiet for Lena to hear. She saw Ryusei gesture. Saw one of his men step forward with a phone. The codes, she realized. They were showing proof they had the codes. The figure in charge moved closer to Kyle, pulling his head up by his hair. Kyle's eyes opened, and even from the distance, Lena could see the fear and pain in them. She couldn't wait anymore. She opened the door. Lena, no, Sunhee started. But Lena was already out, already walking toward them. She heard Ryusei shout something in Korean, but she didn't stop. Couldn't stop. That was her brother. Her only family. Kyle, she called out. Kyle's head turned at her voice. Lena? Lena, run. The figure in charge turned toward her, and Lena got her first clear look at their face. A woman. Beautiful, elegant, even in tactical gear. She was smiling. Ah, the woman said, her accent cultured European. The delivery girl. How perfect. Let him go, Lena said, her voice shaking but firm. Let him go and we'll give you the codes. Will you? The woman studied her with interest. But you see, I do not think you will. I think this is all an elaborate setup. And I think. She never finished the sentence. Because Kyle, despite his injuries, despite being barely conscious, suddenly surged upward. He threw himself at one of his guards, knocking the man off balance. Everything happened at once. Gunfire erupted from the rooftops. Ryusei's snipers. The guards around the woman dove for cover, returning fire. Kyle scrambled away from them, crawling on his hands and knees toward Lena. Get down! Ryusei shouted, running toward her. But the woman was faster. She reached Kyle first, grabbing him and pulling him up as a human shield. A gun appeared in her hand, pressed against Kyle's temple. Everyone stop, she commanded. And incredibly they did. Ryusei froze mid-step. The gunfire ceased. Good. Now let us try this again. Give me the real codes or I paint the ground with his brain. Elara. Ryusei's voice was cold. I should have known it was you. Elara. His ex-wife. Myra's mother. The woman laughed. Did you really think I would let you keep everything? She asked. The power, the organization, our daughter? I built half of this empire, Ryusei. And then you cast me aside like I was nothing. You wanted out. You said you could not handle the life anymore. I wanted partnership, equality, and you gave me dismissal. Her finger tightened on the trigger. Now I will take it all. Starting with those codes. If you kill him, you get nothing. Then give me the codes. Ryusei met Lena's eyes across the distance. In that moment she saw him calculating, weighing options. And she knew what he was going to do. He was going to sacrifice Kyle to take Elara down. She couldn't let that happen. Lena started walking toward Elara. Stop. Stop please. I'll get the codes. Just don't hurt him. Lena, no, Kyle choked out. I'm sorry, she said to him. To Ryusei. But I can't. He's all I have. She pulled out her phone. The one Ryusei had given her with the fake codes on it. The backup plan. But she walked close enough that Elara could see she was shaking, that she was terrified. Close enough to be within arm's reach. Here, she said, holding out the phone. Please. Just let him go. Elara reached for the phone with her free hand. And in that split second, when her attention divided between the phone and Kyle, Lena moved. Son, he had taught her one thing in their brief training session. Not how to shoot. How to disarm. It was a simple move, brutal and effective. Grab the wrist, twist up and back, step into the attacker's space. Lena did it without thinking. Her hands closed on Elara's wrist, wrenching the gun up and away from Kyle's head. Elara gasped in surprise, her grip loosening just enough. Kyle dropped and rolled away. Gunfire erupted again, but this time it was coordinated. Ryusei's people cut down Elara's guards with surgical precision. Elara herself struggled with Lena, trying to regain control of her weapon. Then Ryusei was there, pulling Lena away, putting himself between her and Elara. His gun came up, pointed at his ex-wife's chest. It is over, he said. Elara's face twisted with rage. It will never be over. Even if you kill me, others will come. The organization will tear itself apart fighting for control. And your daughter will grow up in the middle of that war. No, Ryusei said. She will not. Because I am going to change everything. Starting now. He raised his voice. Anyone loyal to Elara, walk away now. This is your only chance. Several of Elara's remaining guards looked at each other. Then one by one they lowered their weapons and backed away. Within moments Elara stood alone. You see, Ryusei said to her. You never had their loyalty. Only their fear. And fear is temporary. And what do you have? Love. Elara laughed bitterly. From a delivery girl you met a week ago? From men who serve you only because you are stronger. I have honor. I have duty. And I have people who believe I can build something better than what came before. He lowered his gun slightly. I will not kill you, Elara. You are Myra's mother. But you will leave New York. Tonight. And you will never come back. You are weak, she spat. It will get you killed. Perhaps. But I would rather die trying to be better than live being what my father was. What you want me to be. He nodded to Sunhee. Take her to the airport. Make sure she gets on a plane. Sunhee moved forward with 2 guards. Elara didn't resist as they took her away. But her eyes promised vengeance. Lena barely noticed. She was on her knees beside Kyle, checking his injuries. He was beaten badly, his face swollen, his ribs possibly broken. But he was alive. He was breathing. You idiot, he mumbled through split lips. You absolute idiot. You should have run. I'm your sister. Running was never an option. She looked up at Ryusei. We need a doctor. Already on the way. He crouched down beside them. You did well. Both of you. I didn't do anything, Kyle said. I got grabbed like an amateur and used as bait. You created the opening I needed. That was enough. Ryusei stood as a van pulled up. Get him to the doctor. Lena, go with him. What about you? The babies. I have matters to finish here. Son. He will bring them to you once your brother is stable. He touched her shoulder briefly. Thank you. For what you did. It was brave and foolish in equal measure. Story of my life, Lena said. The doctor turned out to be a small woman with sharp eyes who asked no questions as she examined Kyle. They'd taken him to yet another safe house, this one set up like a medical clinic. The woman worked efficiently, cleaning wounds, taking x-rays with a portable machine, administering pain medication. 3 cracked ribs, she announced finally. Severe bruising. Minor concussion. But nothing that won't heal. She looked at Lena. He was lucky. Lucky. Lena wanted to laugh. None of this was lucky. But Kyle was alive and she supposed that was something. He slept for hours under the pain medication. Lena sat beside his bed, holding his hand, trying not to think about how close she'd come to losing him. Her last family. The only person in the world who'd always been there for her. When he woke, it was dark outside. He blinked at her groggily. Hey, she said softly. How do you feel? Like I got hit by a truck. Several trucks. He tried to sit up and groaned. What the hell happened, Lena? 1 minute I'm at my apartment, the next there are men breaking down my door. They kept asking about you, about where you'd gone. I'm sorry. I never meant to drag you into this. Into what? Start from the beginning. So she did. She told him everything. Finding Ryusei, the babies, the hunters, the poison formula, Ilera. All of it. Kyle listened with growing disbelief. You're telling me you accidentally saved a Korean mob boss and now you're what, his nanny? It's more complicated than that. Is it? Because it sounds pretty straightforward from here. You got mixed up with very dangerous people. And you should get as far away from them as possible. I can't. Those babies need me. And Ryusei. Ryusei is a criminal, Lena. No matter how nice he is to you, no matter how much he cares about his kids, he's still a criminal. People around him die. I know that. But nothing. Kyle grabbed her hand despite his injuries. I'm your brother. I love you. And I'm telling you to walk away while you still can. Before Lena could respond, the door opened. Ryusei stepped in, and Kyle's expression immediately went cold. You should not be here, Kyle said. You've done enough damage. I came to apologize, Ryusei said calmly. Your injuries are my responsibility. Your fear is my fault. I will pay for all your medical care, and I will make sure you are compensated for your suffering. I don't want your money. Nevertheless, you will have it. Ryusei's gaze shifted to Lena. The babies are asking for you. Well, Jay is crying, and Mira is staring at everyone with suspicion. But I think they miss you. Despite everything, Lena smiled. I'll come see them in a minute. Kyle, Ryusei said, turning back to her brother. I understand your concern for your sister. If I had siblings, I would feel the same. But I give you my word, she is under my protection now. No one will harm her. Not while I live. And when you die, when someone else decides they want your position and comes after everyone close to you, what happens to her then? Then I will have failed. But I do not intend to fail. He bowed slightly. Rest. Heal. And know that your sister is safer with me than she would be alone in this city. He left before Kyle could argue further. Lena stood to follow, but Kyle caught her hand again. Please, he said quietly. Please think about what you're doing. I am thinking. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm doing something that matters. Those babies need me, Kyle. And Ryusei, he's trying to be better than what he was raised to be. I want to help him. And what about your life? Your dreams? You were going to go back to nursing school. Maybe I still will. But right now, this is where I need to be. She kissed his forehead and left before he could see her cry. The babies were in a room down the hall, being watched over by Sunhee. The moment Lena entered, Jay's crying intensified, his little arms reaching for her. She picked him up and he immediately settled against her chest, his sobs fading to hiccups. He has been asking for you for an hour, Sunhee said with a slight smile. He knows his person. I'm not his person. I'm just. You are his person, son, he repeated firmly. As is Mira. Children know who loves them. Who will fight for them. She stood. Ryusei is in the office. He wants to speak with you when you have a moment. Lena found him a few minutes later, after both babies had been fed and changed and were sleeping peacefully. He sat behind a desk covered in papers and phones, looking more exhausted than she'd ever seen him. You should rest, she said from the doorway. So should you. He gestured to a chair. Sit. Please. She did, and for a moment they just looked at each other. In the past week they'd been through things most people never experience in a lifetime. They'd faced death together, saved each other's lives, fought side by side. And yet she realized she barely knew him. What happens now? She asked. Now I rebuild. Half my organization was compromised by Alara's coup attempt. I need to root out the rest of her supporters. Establish new protocols. Make it clear that I am still in control. He rubbed his face. It will take months. Maybe years. And the babies? They need stability. A home. Someone who can give them the care and attention they deserve. He met her eyes. I am asking you to stay. Not as a hostage. Not out of obligation. But because they need you. And perhaps, I need you as well. Lena's breath caught. Ryusei. I am not offering you a normal life. I cannot promise safety or peace. But I can promise that I will protect you with everything I have. That you will want for nothing. That the children will grow up knowing love and security. He paused. And I can promise to be honest with you. Always. No more secrets. No more secrets, Lena echoed. She thought about Kyle's warnings. About the danger. But she also thought about Myra's tiny hand gripping her finger. About Jay's contented sighs when she held him. About the way Ryusei looked at his daughter with such fierce, desperate love. Okay, she said. I'll stay. Something shifted in Ryusei's expression. Relief maybe. Or gratitude. Thank you. But I have conditions. Name them. Kyle gets protection. Real protection, not just bodyguards who follow him around. I want him safe, and I want to be able to see him whenever I want. Done. And I want to go back to school. Finish my nursing degree. Even if it's part-time, even if it takes years, I want to finish what I started. I will pay for it. Whatever you need. And, she hesitated, I want you to teach me. About your world. Your organization. I don't want to be kept in the dark. If I'm going to be part of this, I need to understand it. Ryusei studied her for a long moment. That is a dangerous request. The more you know, the more danger you will be in. I'm already in danger. At least this way. I'll know what I'm dealing with. Very well. He stood and came around the desk, extending his hand. Partners then. In caring for the children. In rebuilding the organization. In whatever comes next. Lena shook his hand. His grip was firm, warm. Partners. The days that followed blurred together in a strange new routine. They moved to a penthouse apartment in downtown Seattle. A place so luxurious that Lena felt like she was living in a dream. The babies each had their own nursery, decorated with everything infants could possibly need. Lena had her own suite, complete with a study where she could take online nursing classes. Ryusei was gone often during the day, handling business she was only beginning to understand. But every evening, he returned and spent time with Mira and Jay, reading to them, playing with them, being the father he'd never had time to be before. And slowly, carefully, he began teaching Lena about his world. The structure of the syndicate. The different factions and their leaders. The rules that govern their society. She learned about honor and duty. About the complex web of obligations and loyalties that held everything together. She also learned about the violence. The bodies that piled up when territory disputes turned bloody. The families torn apart by revenge feuds. The casual brutality that underpinned everything. This is the world my daughter will inherit, Ryusei said one night as they sat on the balcony, the baby sleeping inside. Unless I can change it. Can you? Lena asked. Change it, I mean. I do not know. But I have to try. For them. For all the children growing up in this life. He looked at her. And having you here helps. You remind me why I am doing this. What I am fighting for. 3 months passed. Kyle healed and, grudgingly, accepted the protection Ryusei provided. He still didn't approve of Lena's choices, but he respected them. He even visited sometimes, bringing toys for the babies, pretending not to enjoy when Jay giggled at his silly faces. Mira grew stronger, more alert. She started recognizing faces, smiling when Lena or Ryusei entered the room. Jay developed a fascination with lights, staring at them with intense concentration that made everyone laugh. And the organization slowly stabilized. Ryusei rooted out the last of Alera's supporters, not with violence but with evidence. Proof of their betrayals, their corruption. He gave them a choice: leave peacefully or face syndicate justice. Most chose to leave. He implemented new rules. No dealing with substances that harm children. No human trafficking. No targeting civilians. Those who broke the rules faced immediate expulsion. Some of the old guard grumbled, but they obeyed. Because Ryusei had proven himself willing to enforce his new order, no matter the cost. On a cool October evening, Ryusei gathered his inner circle for a formal meeting. Lena attended, as she had for the past month. She sat quietly, learning to read the political currents, understanding who held real power, and who merely pretended to. "I have an announcement," Ryusei said, standing at the head of the table. "I am restructuring how we operate. From now on, all major decisions will be made by a council of 7. Myself and 6 others, chosen for their wisdom and loyalty." Murmurs around the table. This was unprecedented. Yakuza-style organizations were autocratic by nature. But Ryusei was offering something different. Shared power. "And I am naming Lena Jensen as my advisor," he continued. "She will attend all council meetings. She will have voice, though not vote, in our decisions. Anyone who harms her or threatens her will answer to me personally." The room went silent. All eyes turned to Lena. She felt the weight of their scrutiny, their skepticism. A white woman, a former delivery driver, given power in their organization? It was unthinkable. "Son," he was the first to speak. "I support this decision. Lena has proven her loyalty and courage. She has earned her place here." One by one, others voiced their agreement. Not all of them, but enough. And those who disagreed kept their silence, unwilling to challenge Ryusei openly. After the meeting, as people filed out, Sunhee approached Lena. "You have made powerful enemies tonight," she said quietly. "They will see you as an outsider. Someone who does not belong. I know. But you also have powerful allies. Use them wisely. And never forget. In this world, respect is earned through strength. Show weakness and they will devour you." "I'll remember." That night, Lena stood on the balcony again, looking out at the city lights. Seattle looked different from up here. Beautiful. Almost peaceful. Hard to imagine all the violence and darkness hidden beneath that glittering surface. "Do you regret it?" Ryusei asked, joining her. "Staying. Sometimes," she admitted. "This isn't the life I imagined for myself. But then I think about Mira and Jay, and I can't imagine being anywhere else. They love you. More than I expected they would. I love them too." She turned to face him. "But I won't lie. This is hard. Learning to navigate your world. Always watching what I say, who I trust. Never being sure if someone is really loyal, or just waiting for the right moment to betray us. I know. And I am sorry for dragging you into this." "I'm not." She surprised herself by meaning it. "You gave me purpose, Ryusei. For the first time in my life, I feel like I'm doing something that matters. Those babies wouldn't have survived without me. And maybe I wouldn't have survived without them." He was quiet for a moment. Then, "There is something I need to tell you. About Alera." Lena's stomach tightened. "What about her?" "She did not leave New York. My people have been tracking her. She is building a new organization, recruiting my enemies, planning to take back what she thinks is hers. So the danger isn't over. It will never be over. Not completely. But I promise you I will keep you safe. All of you. No matter what it costs. I know you will." And somehow, despite everything, she believed him. Inside, one of the babies started crying. They went in together, and found Mira fussing in her crib. Ryusei picked her up, cradling her against his chest. She settled immediately, her tiny hand curling into his shirt. Watching them, Lena felt something shift in her heart. This strange, dangerous, impossible family they'd built. It wasn't conventional. It wasn't safe. But it was theirs. And she would protect it with everything she had. The following weeks brought a new rhythm. Lena attended council meetings, learning the delicate art of syndicate politics. She took her nursing classes online, determined to finish her degree. And most importantly, she cared for Mira and Jay, watching them grow and change with each passing day. Kyle visited more often, slowly accepting her new reality. He bonded with the babies and developed a cautious respect for Ryusei. "He's not what I expected," Kyle admitted one afternoon. "Still don't like him. But I can see why you stayed." Ryusei, for his part, softened in ways Lena wouldn't have thought possible. She caught him singing to the babies in Korean, his voice surprisingly gentle. Saw him laugh when Jay grabbed his nose. Watched him pace the floor at 3 in the morning with a colicky Mira, refusing to let anyone else take over. They became a unit, the four of them. Unconventional. Bound by circumstances rather than blood. But family nonetheless. One evening, 6 months after that rainy night in the shipping yard, the syndicate held a formal gathering. All the major players were there, dressed in expensive suits, moving through Ryusei's penthouse like predators at a watering hole. Lena wore a dress Sun he had chosen for her, elegant and understated. She moved through the crowd, making conversation, reading the room. This was her world now. These dangerous people were her colleagues. At exactly 9 o'clock, Ryusei called for attention. The room fell silent. "Tonight we mark a new beginning," he said, his voice carrying easily. 6 months ago there was an attempt to destroy our organization, to take it apart from within. That attempt failed. And we have emerged stronger than before. Murmurs of agreement. Glasses raised in toast. But strength is not just about power, Ryusei continued. It is about honor. About protecting those who cannot protect themselves. About building something that will last beyond our lifetimes. His gaze found Lena in the crowd. And it is about recognizing those who stand with us, who fight beside us, who prove their loyalty not through words but through action. He gestured and Sun He appeared with a small box. Ryusei took it and opened it, revealing a silver pendant on a chain, the symbol of his organization. "Lena Jensen," he said formally. "You saved my life. You saved my children. You stayed when anyone with sense would have run. And you have proven yourself worthy of trust and respect." He held out the pendant. "I offer you a place in this family. Not as a servant. Not as an employee. But as one of us." The room held its breath. This was more than just recognition. This was adoption. Acceptance. In syndicate culture it meant everything. Lena stepped forward, her heart pounding. "I accept." Ryusei fastened the pendant around her neck. Then in a gesture that shocked everyone, he bowed to her. The head of the syndicate, bowing to a former delivery driver. And one by one everyone else in the room bowed too. Later, after the guests had left and the babies were asleep, Lena and Ryusei stood on the balcony again. It had become their place, this spot overlooking the city. "That was quite a statement tonight," Lena said, touching the pendant. "It needed to be made. There are still those who question your presence here. Now they cannot. You are under the syndicate's full protection. Any move against you is a move against all of us. Thank you. Do not thank me. You earned it." He leaned against the railing. "I never expected this, you know. When you found me in that shipping yard I thought I was dying. I thought my children would die with me. And then this small, stubborn woman appeared and refused to let that happen." "I'm not that small," Lena protested, smiling. "You are to me. Everything about you is small and fierce and completely unexpected." His expression grew serious. "Whatever this life becomes, whatever dangers we face, we're in it together. You understand that, yes?" "Yes," Lena said. "Together." She looked out at the city, at the lights stretching to the horizon. Somewhere out there Alara was planning her revenge. Somewhere out there new threats were emerging. The danger would never truly end. But up here in this moment, with the baby sleeping peacefully inside and Ryusei standing solid beside her, Lena felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. Just a moment before we go, sweet listeners. Flood those comments with your thoughts on the story, and please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so we can keep bringing you beautiful stories every single day. Hope you enjoyed the story. Thank you for watching.